Hello there, and welcome back to another Starfield video. In today's video, we're going to be checking out this is technically part 4 of my Freestar Navy mini-series, but it's also kind of part 2. So in the first 3 previous videos, we looked at the HopeTech, the Tayo, and the Stroud-Eklund corvettes, and kind of just, did a little overview on them and give an explanation about them. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Destroyer variant, specifically in this video, the HopeTech Destroyer. For anybody this is your first time watching this and you're wondering what it's about, there will be a link to the playlist in the description, and also maybe a little note will pop up on the video. But to make a kind of a long story short, I came up with the idea that what if the Freestar Collective wanted a dedicated navy? And much like how in the real world, when military manufacturers try and get contracts from governments, that's kind of the main idea. Basically, HopeTech, Stroud-Eklund, and Tayo are trying to compete for a contract to produce 3 different types of naval vessels: the corvette, which we covered in previous videos, the destroyers, which we're covering the first one now, and then cruisers. So anyway, let's get into it. So a little bit of breakdown of the destroyer. So basically, for the main requirements in my head, I was thinking for the destroyer is that the Freestar Collective basically wanted like a dedicated warship that could help with patrolling, but it could also engage in actual combat. Whereas for instance, the corvettes are more than capable of dealing with certain craft, they would have difficulty engaging larger vessels. Excuse me. Whereas the destroyers don't have that issue. The destroyers would be mounted with some sort of missile or torpedo armament that would allow them to engage vessels far larger than them. They're also going to be B-class because, it just makes sense. They also are required to have a turreted weapon to kind of act as a sort of a I don't know if I'd say like an anti-ship role, but I like the idea of it being like kind of an anti-ship battery, if that makes sense. And also crew-wise, they're supposed to have like a larger crew. Now, obviously in Starfield, we're quite limited in the crew you can have, but we're just going to kind of use a bit of like headcanon with this. So let's get into it. So this is, like I was saying, this is the HopeTech Destroyer. So we'll take a quick look at it. Like I said in previous videos, HopeTech ships are quite hard to make combat vessels look like combat vessels, primarily because HopeTech is known as the space truck slash freighter ship manufacturer. But I think I did a decent job all the same. So if we look at the stats, we've got a fuel of 200. Again, like much with the corvettes, that's kind of low, but I feel like it's more than acceptable. With these destroyers, they occasionally will be deployed out of system because they will be used like for actual ship-to-ship combat. 200 is more than enough in this game and in general. Obviously, you could go with more, but like early on, like destroyers typically will have a kind of a medium-ish range. They're not going to have as long of a range as, say, the cruisers that we're dealing with later on, but they're definitely a lot longer range than the corvettes. So it's got a hull of 1210, which is really, really good for a B-class. Destroyers are meant to be able to tank some damage and keep fighting. Now, obviously, I will say that anyone looking kind of IRL or like some other sci-fi, destroyers typically aren't meant to fight that much. Destroyers are meant to kind of hit from afar and stuff. Gone are the days of the World War II era destroyer that was supposed to get close and harass. But obviously in the Starfield universe, I went with the idea of a destroyer just because it made sense. Like, it's a ship that has some sort of anti-ship missiles and some anti-capital ship guns. So yeah. And then for cargo capacity, it's got a little bit of cargo capacity. It doesn't have as much as the last one because it doesn't really need it. It's a combat vessel. So as always with these ships, I built them entirely out of what was available at the main manufacturers. So with this being HopeTech, we got a B-class reactor with 39 power, which was actually really handy that they had a B-class reactor at 39 power. It's got a crew of 5, which obviously you could improve upon. I feel like From a lore point of view, this ship would have a minimum like bridge crew of 4 or 5. So you've got like the captain, and then you have the helmsman / navigator, have 2 weapons officers, and then a navigator. And then obviously this would have a larger complement of rangers, like what I said in the first couple of videos. This ship can board if need be. Now it wouldn't. I wouldn't like. I would advise against it necessarily. It's kind of a last ditch effort because this ship is like a lot larger. It boarding with like say like pirate vessels and stuff, it's risky. The last thing you want is to get swarmed. But it has a complement of rangers, or it would have a complement of rangers to kind of defend against boarding. And if it did need to board, it also would have the capabilities to deploy troops onto a planet, small contingent of troops. It's not going to be deploying more like a lot, but it would have more rangers than the corvettes. So it's got a jump range of 30 light years. I quite like this having a large jump range because destroyers would kind of operate in wolf packs or sometimes solo because of their kind of their torpedoes and their main weaponry. They would be able to kind of hit hard and fast and then disappear. So having that large jump range really helps that that play style, or that style basically. It's got shields of 10,000 or 1,035, which is not bad at all. It's pretty decent. That's kind of about average. For weaponry, it's got a pair of singe lasers mounted on the front there. You can see them there. They're fixed. I kind of wanted, initially I wanted to have a couple of, like, I would have loved turreted weapons. I'm not a huge fan of, like, fixed weapons on larger vessels personally, but turrets are all kind of a bit too big, so we'll just, for head cannon, yeah, they're weapons. And then it has a pair of missile pods mounted on each of the sides. This is kind of the main characteristics of the destroyers, is the missile pods. And then it has that single turreted railgun on the front there, the dorsal, which from a lore point of view would give it insane, not insane, that's probably, it would give it very good anti-ship capabilities, and also would give it a lot of range. Obviously in game, for balancing reason, railguns don't have an awful lot of range, but like realistically railguns would have very good range because nothing is going to stop that projectile unless it hits a planet or a target. So yeah. And then for the price point of this vessel, it is 215k, just under that to build. Now that price may vary slightly. I know in previous videos people mentioned like, oh, when you're building your ships, why do you use like high-end components? And it's mainly, from my kind of point of view, I see it as each manufacturer is using the best of their abilities and the best modules they have available to try and kind of get the bid. And once they get the bid in, they can start like removing pieces to cut down costs. So anyway, let's go take a look at it, shall we? I think I did a decent job of the look of it. With HopeTech, you're kind of limited. So as you can see here, we have that HopeTech cargo bay there, and we have the docking port in the front. And then we have, I quite like this like top area here. I feel like it like looks like some excess armor with some mounting points, like you could mount more weaponry or like attachments if you really wanted to. And then at the back, I made use of, I really love those engines. Those B-class engines look really nice.
Mind if I take the long way?
There is some merging in this ship. There's a merging in all of these builds. I added this to the back here just because I think it looks like a kind of like a reactor. Even though it's not. I just think it looks kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of like a kind of a slip space drive from like Halo or, you know, stuff like that. And then if we head inside, we shall check it out. So if I remember correctly... actually, we'll see when we get in there. I can't remember what the layout was inside. I made these ships a couple of days ago from recording, but I know that they all will have the exact same kind of like components. When I remember them, I will be able to... Okay, yeah, so immediately we have the armory with the brig. It's kind of the same thing as the last one. I feel like it's just handy to have. Being that it is a warship, there will be situations where they might get control of some unruly individuals, and you will need to keep them secured. Last thing you want is some dodgy UC prisoners of war running around your ship. And then we have the docking port at the front there. I quite like HopeTech's front docking port. It kind of reminds me of like in Halo, if you ever see the boarding craft, the Covenant boarding craft, how they just kind of latch on at the front. It feels very combat focused, even though that's not the reason HopeTech do it. HopeTech do it because it's convenient when you're trying to park up. And then off to the side here, we have an infirmary. Being that this is a larger vessel, I went with the infirmary just because you have to keep your crew alive and safe, and also anyone you pick up. Because destroyers are generally larger and they have more range, they're going to be running into a lot of different situations, from helping, like, say, stranded ships to picking up crews that have been abandoned on worlds, or like, yeah, usual. And then we have the control station in here too. Nothing really to add to here, it's just a control station, gets the crew up. This kind of acts more, the reason I put this back further is because I wanted this to act more like a combat information center rather than like being attached to the bridge. For anyone that's not aware, modern warships and ancient warships of like World War II era, they have a CIC, which is a combat information center. So whereas the bridge is for piloting the vessel and stuff, the combat information center controls the guns, it controls the radar and everything around it. It's basically the brain of the vessel. And then we have a little all-in-one berth here just for the crew, because this vessel will, destroyers will kind of have a longer time spent out in the black or the void. It's nice to just give the crew some comforts.
I'm listening.
I like the HopeTech one, very roomy. And then if we head back here up to the bridge, it was quite limited on the HopeTech control or like bridges, but I think this is, I really like this one. So this feels very combat like bridge, and I really like it. I feel like this is the best bridge so far out of all of the vessels. So we've got the pilot seat there. We've got ample views, which is really nice. And then we've got the co-pilot to the left, and we've got the navigator there. And then obviously, with the regards to the weaponry officers and stuff, they would be in the CIC. Now you may be thinking, Crimson, this is a combat vessel, and there's a lot of windows, and you are correct. But with this being a destroyer, the missile pods and the railgun would give it an extended range. So ideally, it wouldn't be closing the distance with ships unless it had first disabled the ships, or it went up against a smaller ship that are less likely to worry about it. So that's just my little headcanon, because I know like technically windows don't matter in this game from a gameplay point of view, but like I always like the idea of like lore-wise, windows are a structural weakness. But anyway, we're gonna take her off, see how she flies. If I remember correctly, she's pretty decent maneuverability, not amazing, but it gets the job done. So up we go. So power-wise, we have more than enough power in this, which is really, really nice. If you plan on making this, you can definitely add some more stuff if you wanted to. I wanted to keep the weaponry kind of limited. I didn't want to go slightly overkill because there has to be a level of like balance with the weapon, or with the vehicle.
Stay in orbit or jump.
So as always, I have a perk that increases my power by 5, but for the sake of the video, we're not going to be using 5 power. But as you can see, we have so much extra there. Like, we can keep points in the grab drive, which would allow us for a quick getaway. So weapon-wise, we got those 2 lasers mounted there on the front. We've got our dual missile pods. I just like imagine them as torpedoes, which is really cool. And then we've got that ballistic, the railgun mounted on the top that currently can't be fired because it's started. So base speed is going to be 140, I believe. Yeah, it's 140 because we're using B-class engines. Boost speed of... Okay, boost speed of 520. Not bad, not bad. Now, as you see there, the boost kind of kept going. Like, so we were like kind of at max boost speed and we still had like a quarter left. So if you were to put points into your engines and your boost, you would get more kind of play out of them. Quick agility test, so pitch up. So as you can see, it's quite fast, but it's not the fastest. It's probably like a 6 or a 7. Yaw is the same. I don't know what that mule is doing. Yaw is the same. And rolls pretty good. Actually, something I just thought that's kind of funny is like I'm doing all these testing on these like supposedly Freestar naval like prototype vessels. in the UC capital. I just imagine like the UC citizen defense are like, what are they doing with all these ships? Anyway, so we're going to go down to the planet now, and I will show you how to build it. Alright, so we've split the ship into 3 sections. Like I was saying, with this ship, you can build all of it at the HopeTech tower. So if we look at the top section here, we have the Overseer 400 bridge from HopeTech, 340 cargo to crew station. And then we have mounted on an equipment plate, which is mounted on the HopeTech cap B mid. We have the Jishaku FE or F rapid railgun turret from Shinigami, B class, 1625 range, 5 fire rate, 18 hull damage, and 3 power. And then for the structural pieces, we've got a HopeTech cap A, a HopeTech cap B, a HopeTech cap A mid, and then on the side here we've got a cap A port 4, 2 cap A port mids, and a cap A port aft. And on the opposite side we have a cap A starboard aft, 2 starboard mid, and a starboard 4. And then we have this HopeTech pipes mid that would sit there. Middle of the vessel we have the HopeTech 11 docker. Behind that we have the HopeTech armory 2x1, the HopeTech infirmary 2x1, the HopeTech control station 2x1, and the all-in-one berth 2x1. And then for the weaponry on this section, we have 2 of these Horizon weapon mounts connected to the front of the armory with 2 Scorch 60 megawatt lasers from Lightsight, B class, 1625 range, 2.5 fire rate, 25 shield damage, and 4 power. They're kind of power heavy, but as you can see, we have more than enough power as is with that really good reactor. And then on the back here, mounted on the back snap point of the all-in-one berth and the infirmary, we have 2 more Horizon weapon mounts with some CE-29 missile launchers from Ballistic Solutions Incorporated. B class, 5200 range, 1.25 fire rate, 60.89 hull and shield damage, and max power of 3. So that range allows them to engage at a really, really long distance, which is very nice. And then for our engines, we've got 2 of these Dun 71 engines from Amandun, B class, 3 max power, 26,580 engine thrust, 5250 maneuvering thrust, which very nice. They give max mobility. And then we have 2 of these M30 Helium-3 tanks, M30 Ulysses tanks from Dogstar. These are simply merged, so all you would do is you would slap them in like there to that snap point. They both snap to the back of the HopeTech. You just put them in, flip them back. There's another one on this side here, like so. You just flip it back like that. And then for the structural pieces, we have 2 of these HopeTech pipes. And then on the bottom of the vessel, we have the Hope 4 landing bay there from HopeTech. We have the RD-30,000 beta grav drive from Relodyne, B class, 10 max power, 36 strum thrust, which gives us a current jump range of 30 light years. We have the 104DS mag inertial reactor from Dogstar, B class, 39 power, 1125 hull. And then for the landing gear, we've got 2 of these Hope 6 landing gear, 2 thrust each. So we've got 2 forward ones, a port and starboard, and then 2 aft ones. So with these landing gear, there's like different variants. So you've got the front one, the middle one, and the back one. So I opted with the front and the back. Also, there is the shield generator hidden there. I'm glad I actually grabbed that because I nearly missed the shield generator. So we went with the 44DT Defender shield generator from Dogstar, B class, 9 max power, 1035 max shield health, and 7 regen. Now, to merge this, you would just snap this bad boy to the reactor, and then you bring this in, and like so, you just flip it and flip it back like that. Now, to put the vessel together, we're going to grab all of these, and these just slot. It just slots like that. Why does it not want to slot? What is it getting stuck on? Ah, it's getting stuck on the, I believe these bad boys are going to be problematic. So we're just going to move these out of the way. So the way it sits like this here, with the front section of the armory basically connecting to the landing bay. And then we're just going to snap these back in. They don't like to play nice, but you just basically flip them and flip them back, and they'll do the job. Bethesda really needs to work on the hitboxes of some of these. Because technically you got to use the merge glitch, but they don't actually like stick in. And then we put this back here. Was it that? I don't think it was that far forward, actually, now that I think of it. I think it was supposed to be back further, was it? I think I have the mounted... Yeah, no, I had the mounted back. I didn't have the mounted that far forward. Yeah, no, I didn't, because I had the thingy hidden. So basically, they mount... the front ones mount to the second snap point on the landing bay. And the back ones mount to the grav drive, basically. And then for the top section, basically going to grab... Oh, can we not... Okay, we're going to have to select these all manually because they don't actually snap to anything, like so. Bum, bum. And then they're just going to snap directly over like so. And then the only thing left to do is our little HopeTech pipe that sits there. Now the pipe, you're going to have to do the merge technique with the pipe. I don't know if I'll be able to do it here because I'm not at HopeTech, but I would show you how you would do it anyway. So all you basically want to do is you want to get something that can like have a higher snap point. So I'm going to go with a 1x1 habitat. And let's say you would snap the pipe up here and then press duplicate and the pipe would snap down. I'm going to show you with something else just so you can kind of see what I mean. When I do these videos, I always tend to kind of make them here at Nova Galactica. Oh, perfect. So we'll test it with this. So notice how if we tried to bring this down here, it wouldn't let us. It doesn't want to. So we're just going to snap it to the high point, press Y, and it drops down. And just like that, we're good to go. So let me put all this shit back together. So that's the HopeTech destroyer. Let me know what you guys think. Tune in next time. We're going to be looking at the Stroud Ecklet and the Tayo, which will then finish off the destroyers for the destroyers from the Freestar Collective. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this sort of content and check out some other videos. Bye-bye.